2 of 2. It was accidental. Anyway, here's 4 hours of the Geospace Magnetosphere movie. Allow me to vanish. Oh, yeah. So a pretty weak magnetosphere here. Very diffuse and slow solar wind. And will you stop refreshing? Oh, my goodness. Here are the ground geospace magnetic perturbations. Looking at the entire globe. Again, 4 hours of data. Not a lot of magnetic perturbations here. Keep in mind this is measuring changes in the Earth's B field in nanotesla. And you can see the scale in the lower right. Still got some power outages, although Louisiana's got most of them fixed. California's still showing about 13,000. Oregon 34,000 and Utah 24,000. GOES magnetometers are not smooth at all yet, but we are solidly in the North Pole current sheet. And I would expect us to stay there for the foreseeable future. As we look at the top view ecliptic plane field plot, there is the data on that. It's 2 hours and 19 minutes old. Here's the line of sight field plot. Not a whole lot of excitement going on there. Here is the coronal magnetic field plot. And you can see all of those opened potential field force lines in purple coming out of the north solar polar coronal hole region. Coronal hole magnetic field force lines shown in purple, closed field force lines shown in pink. And let's move on to the Smash Lights segment, where I talk about anything. And who knew I'd be making 3 videos already? First thing is, do you follow me on Instagram? Well, if not, you may not see videos like this.
Apartment building on fire and stand out and chant. They can do that to your house too. Right. You gotta understand.
Got this great cumulus cloud here that I was driving underneath yesterday. Got some great images of that. We've also put up this graph that Tony Heller used as his chart for one of his most recent videos. Check it out. New deaths in Netherlands versus new cases in Netherlands. You see the way cases are totally meaningless? Yeah, cases are meaningless. Now, part of the reason that we have the channel is to connect and consult with media organizations. That's why we make the videos. So we need to, in order to get our funding and so on, we need to obviously go, hi, here's me, and then you know, ask people for cash, essentially. And so we've got to make our Science Foundation public. Now, we do screw around also, as this is YouTube. Here's a clip from our most recent video, part of a new series, Scrying with smAsho.
Will there be an insane selection? Will there be a benediction? Will there be a talk of scams? Will we make a Smash Lights segment?
Anyway, if you want to see what I figure out when I look into the crystal ball, watch the Scrying with smAsho new series, and we'll take you down a rabbit hole of epic proportions, where you will view our other playlists and press like and subscribe, and perhaps even the notification bell, where you may even be informed. We're also on BitChute. Don't forget to check us out there, as there's exclusive content. And let's talk about COVID. Now, COVID, you've been very agreeable lately. You're not really killing very many people, but you're sort of in the way of my Swami turban here. And I don't want to lose it. Oh my gosh, it's not tight enough. This would not be acceptable in a Sikh temple. But in any case, COVID, I'm just going to leave you there because you're still not scary. You're still not spooky. You're made in China. You're cheap plastic, and you're not statistically relevant, and you're not novel. So, oh my gosh, I must have embarrassed it. Sorry, COVID. LA County's public health director accidentally admits what many suspected about lockdowns. that Democrat politicians cause them on purpose. Article about it on Zero Hedge. Have you noticed people trying to
misrepresent
facts? Well, is it a misrepresentation or is it fraud? Is it a
scam?
Have you noticed a lot of
Scam.
based content on the internet? Do you not have any idea what it is you're looking at? And going, oh my God, what is the deal? I need to get me a crystal ball in order to figure out what I think is supposed to be going on, because governments, corporations, and news media agencies are not telling you the truth. It's happened to the best of us, folks. There's an article on SciTech Daily about it, actually. It's an infodemic of propaganda. Have you noticed some conflicting information? Well, this is yet another reason why we have the channel. It's to cast a discerning eye upon articles, yes. So there have been lots of science foundations just evaporating and going away entirely. And ours has just begun. So anyway, if you want to read about the infodemic, there's one about it on SciTech Daily. Let's talk about the evolution of life itself. Is it possible that life evolved from eukaryotes? Well, there's two different kinds of cells. There's eukaryote and prokaryote cells. And eukaryotic cells have nuclei with cell membranes. Some non-virus. Now, viruses are not considered they're not considered life because they need other living cells in order to, create a viral factory and reproduce. However, it's interesting that some viruses are eukaryotes. So whether you've got DNA is an interesting thing. Is it possible that viruses may have been sort of the second sets of DNA to evolve, perhaps even before multicellular organisms and before? Let me just read this paragraph for you. The origin of eukaryotic nucleus. Again, prokaryotes have no nucleus. They have, instead of having organized organelles, they're less sophisticated, I guess you'd say. Anyway, the origin of eukaryotic nuclei must indeed be a milestone in the development of the cell itself, considering that it's a defining factor that sets eukaryotic cells apart from the other broad category of cells, the prokaryotic cell. The eukaryotic cell is neatly compartmentalized into membrane-bound organelles that perform various functions. Among them, the nucleus houses the genetic material. The other organelles are in what's called the cytoplasm. Prokaryotic cells do not contain such compartmentalization. Bacteria and archaea are prokaryotic cells. So perhaps viruses appeared on Earth before eukaryotes appeared. Who knows? But in any case, they can't survive on their own, so they're not considered life. The newly updated hypothesis can profoundly impact the study of eukaryotic cell organs and origins and provide a basis for further discussion on the involvement of viruses in the evolution of the eukaryotic nucleus. In other words, perhaps viruses caused the evolution of eukaryotes. Who knows? It's an interesting hypothesis. That's on SciTech Daily as well. Were you aware that deep breathing techniques have been helping many patients fight with COVID-19? Well, there's an article about it on smAsho.com/forum. Just head to the forum, go to the Free-for-All forum, and you'll find a long, long list of information about coronavirus. So on April 17th, it became obvious that laying on your stomach can save your life. Simply proning, it has some kind of an effect on oxygen levels. I'm not sure if they understand the mechanism of it, and a lot of times in health and medicine, you don't need a mechanism. If the therapy works, you do the therapy. That story's from WFMZ, but we made sure we copied and pasted it at smAsho.com/forum. That's 31 pages long, by the way. Now, we're growing our organization, and thanks to our generous patrons who've been donating to us and so on, we have been accomplishing some of our goals, and we need lots more funding to accomplish the rest of them in 2020. Consider helping us do that with our Amazon affiliate links. if you head to smashamash.com/affiliate, or you can link directly to it from smashamash.com or smashamash.org, which will redirect you to smashamash.com. By the way, we tested out these smashed potatoes last night, and they worked for us. Now, of course, we used organic butter, but I'm not going to get into that in this episode. There's all kinds of PPE there and stuff, and the latest entry is fish oil. Once again, shout out to Diamond, Diamond from Oppenheimer Ranch Project, who I'm going to give a call to soon. Perhaps we'll be making a video with Diamond sometime this weekend. I told him, hey, the DHA in the fish oil caused me to call you. Now, DHA is one of the benefits. The other one is icosapentaenoic acid. Yes, icosapentaenoic acid. If you want to read about that, you can read about it on WebMD. Icosapentaenoic acid. It's the other active ingredient besides the DHA, and of course the other fatty acids, which probably are just not entirely isolated and studied yet. Also, check us out on Facebook. We are all over social media, including Twitter. Check out this graph from Dr. Simone Gold. We're now 179 days into the 15 days to slow the spread. That's, quote, 15 days to slow the spread, and we're on day 179. Actually, we're on day 180. That's 6 full months. And that looks like a pretty flat curve. Today's cosmology segment is going to be short and sweet. We're going to talk about Cygnus X3 and how it's been spewing things at you probably your entire life if you're in the northern hemisphere. And it's located all the way across the galaxy, and yet it's still finding ways to send physical particles all the way to Earth. If you want to read about that, it's at smashamash.com as well, smashamash.com/forum as well, in the cosmology forum. Here are the transients from X3, and it looks like it's coming out of its quiescent state once again here. We saw some 0.03 scale, so right there. Back into a more normal state instead of a quiescent state. We implore you, if you're a radio astronomer, go do some studies on Cygnus X3. If you want to study the X-ray transients from Cygnus yourself, head to the Neil Gorell Swift Observatory. Just type in Control-F, type in Sig space X-3, and there you go. There are the transients from Cygnus X3. One of the more interesting objects in the galaxy, to say the least, if not the most interesting object in the galaxy. By the way, there's another topic on the most, and both of those, Cygnus X3, massive X-ray binary, celestial pole star Deneb, the most are both pinned on the Cosmology Forum. Today's featured object is M31, the Andromeda Galaxy. Here's a zoom in on Sinbad. And if you want to find Andromeda on Sinbad, just type in M31. And it will hook you up. Let's see what it looks like on XMM Newton. Totally different. And there are the X-ray transients from M31, the Andromeda Galaxy. Looking a little different, eh? Were you aware that over 100 scientific journals have disappeared from the internet between 2000 and 2019? Well, help us to keep ours on the internet by donating to us via the links below the video. Buy some stuff. Buy some merch. Who knows? You need some items, you need some PPE, go to the smashamash.com/affiliate. There's a story all about the disappearing journals on nature.com, right on the homepage. We are on Subscribestar, and most importantly, we're on Patreon, the real source of funding for the content. Bestoic says, you should check Midnight Gospel was me in the witch's hat and RV, I swear. I have no idea what he's talking about, but in any case, he is one of our patrons, and here's our credit crawl. Please consider becoming a patron if you haven't already done so, as we need a lot more things to accomplish in 2020. I think we're going to have some kind of a fundraiser in the month of October. If you've got ideas for us, leave us a comment. And again, you can visit all these links at smashamash.org. All the links are there, as well as below the videos. Thanks again to our patrons, and thanks again for tuning into another episode of the Smash Lights. Let's get back to data. Here's the 1-year relativistic electron flux graph. and we're in pretty high levels of electron flux still. A little bit of charging hazards here have gone away in the past hour. NOAA is forecasting a small decrease here in the relativistic electrons. Here's the GOES electron flux 3-day graph, and we're probably going to get back into warning levels again here shortly. Although the GPS errors don't look too bad, here's a visualization of the total air column. It'll give you some idea of when and where your GPS errors will be located. Those are pretty minor. Let's look at just one slice of the atmosphere, just the ionosphere layer. To note any anomalies in the ionosphere. A little bit overcharged there on the nighttime side. Otherwise, nothing to write home about particularly. There's the current image at 12 o'clock Universal Time, one of the latest daily space weather videos we've done in a long time. Here's where planets are in the solar system. There's where things will be in 1 week, 1 day off of the new moon, as Mercury catches up. And up in the sky now at 8 a.m. Wow, it's a very late daily space weather video. We've got the Mars, we've got the moon, we've got the Venus, and we've got the sun. So a few local objects up there. Let's go over earthquakes. And we did see a 6+ magnitude there, I believe, as well as some deep quakes. So here's a deep one on the mainland of Alaska there, a 4.3 magnitude at 120 kilometers. And there's one out in the Aleutians. It's only a small one at 2.9. Here's a deep quake at Japan. It's quite deep, 376 kilometers and a 4.4 magnitude. Here's another deep quake at nearly 500 kilometers, depth and a 4.2 magnitude. There's a 5.0 near Antarctica, an odd place for a quake. Here's a large quake near Fiji, 5.6 magnitude at 556 kilometers. And then only 7 minutes later, a 6.1 on Japan. Let's take a look at that location. Now, Japan's buildings are pretty well built. That's just out in the ocean there. There's a location of that. And then we see an aftershock there only 6 minutes later. So that's interesting there. We see a very deep quake at Fiji, and then only 7 minutes later, we see a 6 magnitude quake at Japan. Very interesting, perhaps related, and if you've got ideas about the physical mechanisms behind that, please leave a comment. Or post something at smAsho.com/forum. Next, we see a deep quake at Vanuatu. That's more recent, coming in at 6:47 Universal Time. Volcano rundown includes Kadavar, which is exploding. 6,000 foot ash plume there. Semaru, 13,000 foot ash plume there. Dakono, 7,000 foot ash plume there as it explodes. Fuego also exploding. Flight level 150, 15,000 feet. Sangay exploding. 20,000 foot ash plume. Revenador exploding. 15,000 foot ash plume. And Sabancaya exploding. 24,000 foot plume of ash. Please do not attempt to pole vault the caldera. Here are the warning maps, and we see some dense smoke advisories here. Perhaps a bad day to be mountain biking in a lot of places. In the west, here's the carbon monoxide map. And let's give our US viewers a little bit of an idea of where the carbon monoxide will be headed. Now, this gives you a good indication of fires. We'll let this advance into tomorrow. And there's where we expect things to be at 1700 Universal Time tomorrow. Pretty serious carbon monoxide there. And by the way, for all the journals that are telling you that the Arctic is burning, where is all the carbon monoxide? I don't see very much carbon in the Arctic, do you? What's that? It's propaganda? Oh, yeah. Yeah. By the way, carbon dioxide is used in fire suppression equipment. Just saying. Here's the current lightning environment. We've got a thunderstorm out in the Pacific Ocean. Pretty spaced out series of lightning bolts there. It's lightningmaps.org. Shout out to all our European and African viewers. There's your water vapor maps for those two continents. Here are water vapor maps for the Far East and Oceania. Shout out to our viewers from over there. Here's the U.S. Doppler. And indeed, we do see some heavy thunderstorms there in places like Missouri, Illinois, and Iowa. Here's what's going on in the cloud layer. And we're going to move on to the water vapor. We're going to zoom in on that spot. By the way, thanks to everybody who views the live premiere events, who views on BitChute, etc. We've got a couple more bonus features. We've got a nice rotating low here. You see that counterclockwise rotation associated with northern hemispheric low pressure systems. And there's some compression happening in this region here, where dry massive air is pushing this way and butting up against more dry massive air with some wet, moist air in between. It's an atmospheric creek, a babbling brook, if you will. Here's what's going on with the jet stream. Got a pretty significant south to north flow here going over the east. And don't be surprised to see temperatures increased if you're in the mid-Atlantic states. Here's the eastern world's jet streams. Quite meridional in nature. And we've got large sections of the jet stream here flowing east to west, which isn't the norm. And I'm sure our pilots are aware. Hey, thanks to the smAsh team for tuning in. It's time for me to... There we go. That's... something happened there. We've got bonus features, so please keep your head and arms inside the smAsh plane at all times. And thanks for flying American Smashways. Please don't forget to press like and subscribe. We're going to look at the 131 angstroms 48-hour video. We're going to look at the intensitygram. And we're going to look at the colorized magnetogram, the most current one we could possibly do as far as uploading. We could have a sunspot forming. I was watching this area a couple hours ago. It's part of the reason why I did a later video. And do we indeed have umbre? I don't think so. But that's the area to keep an eye on throughout the day. And when I say eye on, well, the pun is intentional. Here's that 131 angstroms SDO video. It's 48 hours worth. And we are out, as it is about that time. So thanks again for tuning in. May that solar wind be at your back and that covidiously absent from your locale.